Street have provided absolutely priceless quotes.
This is the brightest Main Street has ever been in years.
Says,
yeah, that's true.
Possible.
I wonder if it took COVID for them to do stuff like this.
To do something wrong, do it.
I know Main Street was a main thing like back in the day. Everybody used to debate on Main Street walking around the place and thing. But this has got to be the brightest that this place has ever been. It's the
Barring
whole
Main
of
Street
Main
line.
Street.
Barring Main Street line back in the day. Around Main Street line?
Yeah.
Mm.
I never went, but it was always the biggest thing. Everybody looking forward to December 26th. Everybody want to go up on the road.
What happened to the page shut down?
No.
So where is it? Was this?
Yeah.
Oh, panic.
Don't panic, Dennis. Don't panic. You have your phone. The news is on your phone.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too.
Who said, you must train your intuition. You must trust the small voice inside you which tells you exactly what to say. Here's a great quote from Judy Garland. Always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Marilyn Monroe once said, this life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth, but the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. The great former First Lady of the U.S., Eleanor Roosevelt, gave us this fabulous quote, a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets in hot water. See you next time on Bet You Didn't Know. Compliments of Sigismund Consultants, Inc.
Drink Pepsi Black for Max States No Sugar. Pepsi Black time 18 hours or 6 p.m.
The news from Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
The news at 6 comes to you with the compliments of Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC. With the news at this time, I'm Dennis Chabrol. Good evening. First, the highlights. We tell you this hour that the Private Sector Commissioner strongly rebuffed claims by PNCR leader Aubrey Norton that it is not independent. President Jeff Finale announces a 2-week tax-free bonus for all categories of government healthcare workers. A teenager is dead and his parents and siblings are hospitalized as a result of poisoning. The Court of Appeal today ruled that it has jurisdiction to hear and determine whether the High Court properly dismissed a petition by the opposition coalition. In the region, nurses in Barbados end the strike as the Barbados government and the Barbados Nurses Association have reached an agreement to resolve long-standing issues for the health care workers. Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden has said 500 million COVID rapid tests will be made available at no cost amid new measures to tackle the surging Omicron variant. The details of these and other stories in a moment.
After a hard day's work, a lime at the workplace would be great, and even greater and better with KFC, with a wide choice of finger-licking meals in a wide range of sizes. Could be a birthday celebration or promotion, or a lime for no reason at all. Any lime, anytime, anywhere is better and tastier with a delicious meal from any of KFC's 9 locations, including the Amazonia Mall at Providence, open now from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. KFC.
It's finger-licking good.
And now the news in detail. The Private Sector Commission today strongly rebuffed the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton's assertion that business organization is perceived as politically biased. The Private Sector Commission also indicated that it is unapologetic on its stance concerning the attempt to rig last year's general and regional elections. The business organization says that it notes with regret Mr. Norton's unfair and inaccurate criticisms of the Commission as politically biased and can only assume that his remarks were driven by the fact that the Commission, in the defense of democracy, vigorously opposed the attempt to rig last election in favor of the APNU-AFC coalition. The PSC had observed the recount of the votes cast at the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections after there had been more than one declarations by the Region 4 returning officer Clement Mingo. The GCOM, after court battles, eventually used the results from the recount to declare the People's Progressive Party Civic as the winner. Prior to the declaration, the then Chief Election Officer Keith Lowenfield had delivered a third declaration minus more than 100,000 votes, as he had deemed them invalid for a number of reasons, a move that ultimately the court had struck down. The APNU-AFC had called the PSC a PPP stooge. At the same time, the PSC, in congratulating Mr. Norton in his election to the post of PNCR leader, said it has a number of expectations of him. The Commission says it looks forward to Mr. Norton leading a strong, responsible and vibrant opposition, upholding the Constitution and urging respect for the maintenance of law and order as a leader of the major party in the APNU-AFC coalition. And also we tell you this hour that President Irfan Ali today announced a 2-week tax-free bonus for healthcare workers employed by the government.
Keeping with my promise and a government promise of rewarding you for the work that you've been doing, I am pleased today to say that the government has taken a decision to grant an across-the-board tax-free 2 weeks bonus salary to every single healthcare workers, not just doctors or nurses or frontline workers, so every single healthcare workers. We have taken the decision. It's a lot of resources that will be required, but we are making that investment in you, and we ask you to do of your best, continue to do of your best in support of the citizens of this country, your Guyanese brothers and sisters, and most of all, in keeping with your oath of duty.
Minister of Finance Dr. Ashley Singh says the bonus is estimated to cost $612 million and will benefit 9,200 employees in the sector. Minister Singh further indicates that instructions have been issued for the bonus to be paid before the end of the current week. The Finance Minister says in making the final determination on the payout to the health sector employees, the government has decided to pay all workers in the health sector. The government explains this is because it will be hard to ascertain which posts are frontline. The government has refused to collectively bargain for pay hikes with trade unions representing public servants and the teachers. The Guyana Court of Appeal today ruled that it has jurisdiction to hear and determine whether the High Court properly dismissed an election petition by the opposition of Partnership for National Unity plus Alliance for Change, APNU-AFC. The Guyana Court of Appeal's decision was 2-1. The Chancellor of the Judiciary, Jonathan Cummings Edwards, and Justice of Appeal, Don Gregory, ruled in favor as against Justice of Appeal, Rishi Prasad. The Chancellor acceded to a request by People's Progressive Party representative of the list, Barra Jagdio, through Attorney at Law Douglas Mendez, that he be given 2 weeks to determine whether he'll appeal the decision to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. The Attorney General Anil Nandalal endorsed that request. Attorneys at law Roysdale Ford, Basil Williams, and Lakashir Khan did not object. Tuesday's decision means that the Guyana Court of Appeal can hear a decision of the Chief Justice Roxanne George Wilshire's decision to dismiss the APNU-AFC's petition on the grounds that coalition's representative of the list, David Granger, had signed relevant court documents too late for submission to the High Court in keeping with strict deadlines. If Mr. Jagdio does not appeal the matter to the CCJ and the Guyana Court of Appeal rules in favor of the petitioners, it means that the petition will be sent back to the High Court for a hearing and a determination. Attorney General Nandalal had maintained throughout that the dismissal of an election petition cannot be appealed. A 13-year-old boy of Northwest District has died, and his parents and his siblings have been sickened after drinking a locally made liquid product. Dead is Rondell Henry of Aruka and a student of Aruka Mouth Primary School. Those hospitalized in a critical condition suffering from suspected poisoning are his father, 35-year-old Ronald David, 11-year-old Kevin Henry, a brother of the deceased, 4-year-old Calvin Henry, a brother of the deceased, and 7-year-old Selena Henry, sister of the deceased, as well as their 34-year-old mother, Donette Henry. Police say that at about 4 p.m. on December 19, the 13-year-old boy and his family members started getting complications of diarrhea and vomiting after allegedly consuming a locally made liquid product. On Monday, December 20, at about 1 p.m., The 13-year-old boy became motionless at home and was pronounced dead on arrival at the Mabaruma Regional Hospital. The other family members were immediately taken to Mabaruma Regional Hospital, where they were all seen by doctors and admitted as patients in a critical condition. According to the Guyana Police Force, a team of environmental officers and police ranks visited the scene, where checks were made on and around the premises, but no containers or anything relating to a poisonous substance was found. Police say they are closely working along with the health officials and investigations are in progress. Workers of the state-owned Guyana Sugar Corporation, GuySuco, are to receive a 7% increase in wages and salaries. The decision was welcomed by the Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union, GAU, which recalled the commitment that had been given by Vice President Barra Jagdeo earlier this year. The union, which is closely aligned to the governing People's Progressive Party, PPP, said that the pay hike for 2021 marked a reversal of a discriminatory policy of the David Granger-led coalition administration. GAU estimates that between 2015 and 2019, sugar workers' real wages had declined by about 42%. The government had refused to meet with the Public Service Union, Teachers Union, and the Guyana Trades Union Congress to discuss wages and salaries. Former President David Granger and former leader of the PNCR has congratulated Aubrey Norton on his election as fifth leader of the People's National Congress Reform at the 21st Biennial Delegates Congress. In a statement on Tuesday, Mr. Granger expressed satisfaction that a process that was initiated by the presentation of the report of an ad hoc advisory committee in Congress to the Central Executive Committee in April led to convening of a safe and successful Congress in December. Police say they have arrested an injured man. Police say they have arrested an injured man at the Diamond Diagnostic Center. He is suspected to have killed a 22-year-old Joseph Ferdinand of Friendship Squatting Area. Investigators say the victim and the suspect had a misunderstanding. The suspect armed himself with a knife and allegedly stabbed Ferdinand twice to his chest and escaped the scene. The victim was picked up by residents and taken to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The suspect was arrested by police after injuries were observed to his face and body at the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where he went for treatment. Police say he is presently under guard, being treated for injuries he received from public-spirited citizens. Meanwhile, the body of Ferdinand is at the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home, awaiting an autopsy. The police probe into the incident continues. The Health Ministry says a 9-month-old toddler is among 6 persons who died of COVID-19 in the last 72 hours. 5 of the 6 deceased persons, including the toddler, were unvaccinated and the 6th person fully vaccinated. The Health Ministry says it continues to record lower active COVID cases, but Region 4 remains the epicenter. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony says 3 regions lead the number of active cases in the country.
As of yesterday, we have 761 cases that are active. Over the last 24 hours, we would have seen 35 new cases, and we continue to see the majority of these cases that are active being in Region 4, Region 6, and Region 3.
Dr. Anthony says of the number of patients hospitalized, 5 are seriously sick with the virus.
In terms of our hospitalization rates, we currently have 38 persons in hospital. 28 of those persons are at the Ocean View Hospital, with 8 of them being in the ICU. And we have 5 persons on ventilators, so we continue to monitor them.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony. He says 79% of adults, or 409,254 persons, have received a first dose COVID vaccine, and 56%, or 291,473, are fully vaccinated. A 21-year-old man in Region 9, Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo, has been arrested for allegedly raping a 21-year-old disabled woman. Police were told that the woman was home alone when the man went to the premises, held her down, and raped her. Investigators say that relatives found her crying, and then she told them of the ordeal. The man was arrested by public-spirited citizens and handed over to the police. After he was told of the allegation, the man told investigators that he went to charge his phone and held on to her for 1 minute, and she told him to stop, and he stopped. He was placed into custody pending investigations. A deportee has been arrested for allegedly being in possession of more than 2 kilograms of cocaine. The Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit Kanu says he was arrested in Austin Street, Campbellville yesterday. Anti-drug agents say that when he was approached, he crashed his bicycle into a parked vehicle. A search was conducted in the Kanu, and Kanu says a brick-like object was found in his bag. He was then taken to his home, where Kanu says another brick-like object was found. The anti-drug agency says the more than 2 kilograms of cocaine was most likely being prepared for trafficking to the United States. The street value is estimated at almost 14 million Guyana dollars. Turning to news now from the Caribbean, the Barbados government is committed to resolving long-standing issues affecting nurses on the island. The Barbados Today Evening News reported that Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic made the announcement at a news conference Monday evening.
We're going to be establishing a committee to deal with the late and sporadic payments in the public service. And this is so because, well, the nurses have been complaining, and not only nurses, throughout the healthcare system, we've been having issues over the last several years, and these issues continue even though things are not as bad as they were back then, but we still need to do better, and this is a problem that has to be addressed not only for healthcare, not only for nurses, but throughout the entire public service.
Following the commitment by the government, President of the Barbados Nurses Association, Valerie Francis Miller, called for the nurses to return to work after describing the talks as productive.
Matters that were being raised by nurses for quite some time over the years, and we have made some strides in which we have achieved some short-term things, we have some medium-term things, and some long-term things to achieve, and we have made some strides. So I believe that these are things that they have been asking for too as well, and today we were able to achieve some of these things. So I believe, and I would like to ask them to let us to return and let us come and negotiate with these entities so that we can push nursing forward.
Nurses in Barbados engaged in strike action to call attention to several issues, including appointments, transportation, and uniform allowances affecting those health workers, which were not being addressed. The Antigua and Barbuda government says there will be no fetes allowed in the country during the Christmas holidays amid fears of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Health Minister Baldwin Joseph, speaking in the state-owned ABS television, says the risk profile will be significantly elevated from having an event with 300 patrons contemporaneous with the removal of the state of emergency and curfew as of Friday this week. The health minister says by taking the decision to lift the state of emergency and the daily curfew, the onus now is on the individual to adhere to every protocol, such as wearing masks, social distancing, and washing hands in an effort to prevent the spread of the virus. Sir Baldwin says while the situation continues to be reviewed, fetes are being put on hold while the government continues to monitor the emerging situation regarding the Omicron variant the fifth variant of concern, which spreads over 5 times faster than the Delta variant. He acknowledged that the government had earlier given approval for fetes to be held, with patrons not exceeding 300 and being fully vaccinated, but says there has been a reverse of the policy. Sir Baldwin says he hopes the fete promoters will understand the situation going forward and agreed with a statement made by the head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, for people to cancel some of their holiday plans to protect public health as the Omicron variant spreads globally. The WHO head says an event cancelled is better than a life cancelled, adding that difficult decisions must be made. The Antigua and Barbuda Free Trade Union, ABFTU, and the management of the Caribbean Union Bank have reached a compromise on a number of matters which forced line staff at the financial institution to go on strike earlier this year. The sides have been locked in negotiations since 2019 on the issues of pay rises, payment for unused sick days, paternity leave, and mutual separation entitlements. President of the ABFTU, Samuel James, says that staff members have accepted a salary increase proposed by the bank's management. The increase ranged from 4.5% to 6% and will be paid over a 3-year period. The matter of payment for unused sick days, mutual separation, and paternity leave will be dealt with under the new agreement. Mr. Samuel James says it's the best that could have been realized, taking all the circumstances into consideration. He says it's very important for staff to be united, and the staff needs to stay united in order to reach the desired outcome. And before we go to the world news from the BBC, we tell you this hour that back in the local scene, the Guyana Press Association is mourning the loss of Claudette Earle, a former editor of the state-owned Guyana Chronicle. Miss Earle retired from the Chronicle in 2005 when she was editor, after serving that newspaper for decades. Miss Earle started her career at Guyana Graphic. Her son Yuan told the Guyana Press Association on Tuesday. She was the Sunday editor, edited the Women's Page and the Sunday Magazine. Described as fiercely independent, Claudette was a lover of books and believed in women's equality. Yuan said, as he pointed out, that she promoted stories in women, entrepreneurship, farming, and leadership. Claudette Earle will be remembered for her passion in journalism, her advocacy for journalism training, and guidance to her younger colleagues. And now we go to the BBC World Service.
News, I'm John Shaw. President Biden has announced plans to step up the fight against the coronavirus in the United States. 10,000 new vaccination sites are to be opened, and he urged Americans to use them, saying they had a patriotic duty to get jabbed.
Let me say again and again and again and again, please get vaccinated. It's the only responsible thing to do. Those who are not vaccinated are causing hospitals to become overrun again. I just spoke to the governor of New York. Every COVID-19 hospital means someone with a heart attack, cancer, or other serious illness may not get that bed and that life-saving care they need in the hospital.
Speaking from the White House, Mr. Biden said 1,000 military doctors and other health professionals would be mobilized to help where needed. He also said 500 million home rapid action test kits would be distributed free of charge. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz has announced new measures to fight coronavirus, including the temporary closure of nightclubs and restrictions on how many people can meet. He said the advance of the Omicron variant made the new measures, which will come in next week, an essential precaution.
Kann jeden und jede verstehen, die nichts mehr hören will.
I can understand everyone who doesn't want to hear anything else about coronavirus, mutations, or new virus variants. But we cannot and must not close our eyes to this next wave which is beginning to loom over us. Omicron is more infectious, spreads more easily, and will make the number of infections in the coming weeks climb massively. So we must prepare ourselves now.
The ruler of Dubai has been ordered by the High Court in London to pay his ex-wife a divorce settlement which could reach more than $700 million, the biggest in British history. The judge said Princess Haya and her children faced an ever-present threat from their father, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The Hungarian Prime Minister has said Hungary will defy a ruling by Europe's top court on its controversial immigration law. Last month, the European Court of Justice found Hungary had breached EU law by making it a criminal offence to help refugees apply for asylum. Nick Thorpe reports.
Under a law passed in June 2020, to apply for asylum in Hungary, you must first ask permission to do so at the Hungarian embassy in Belgrade or Kiev. According to the UN Refugee Agency, only 12 people have been granted permission to apply. All were Iranian. Several hundred others were refused. Mr. Orban's statement places Hungary, like Poland, at loggerheads once again with the European Union.
Nick Thorpe reporting from Budapest. You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC in London.
That's the news for a moment.
Spell, a former immigration minister who was recently impeached for unlawfully young couples seeking asylum.
Last week, Inga Stoiber was told by a special court that she must serve a 60-day jail sentence. In 2016, she ordered that married asylum seekers under 18 could not be housed together, one of a number of tough immigration measures she introduced. The captain of a ship that ran aground on coral reef in Mauritius 18 months ago has been found guilty of endangering safe navigation. Following the accident, about 1,000 tons of fuel leaked into the water, sparking an ecological emergency. The captain, Sunil Kumar Mandeshwar, admitted to having a few drinks during a birthday party on board before the MV Wakashio ran aground. Parliament in Ghana has been suspended until January, following Monday's session in which MPs traded punches in a late-night vote on a new electronics transaction tax. The proposal has divided the House for months and would include levies on mobile money payments. If passed, it could raise more than $1 billion a year. The fast food chain McDonald's is rationing the amount of fries its customers can order in Japan. Medium and large portions of fries are to be suspended from sale for a week. It's due to a shortage of Canadian potatoes. Jonathan Josephs explains.
At nearly 3,000 McDonald's restaurants across Japan, customers can only order a small portion of French fries. It is a chip shortage like no other the pandemic has served up, cooked up by delays in supplies arriving from Canada. The coronavirus pandemic has caused widespread disruption to the shipping industry, but problems at Vancouver's port have been added to by last month's deadly storm. The company is flying in more supplies and hopes to solve the problem by the end of this month.
News.
That's the news to the moment.
After a hard day's work, delicious comfort food is all we crave for. There at KFC, they've got you covered with a wide choice of delicious, finger-licking good meals from any of their 9 locations, including the Amazonia Mall at Providence. And there are 6 drive-through locations for your convenience. Their 11 herbs and spices are sure to blow those post-work vibes away every time. It's the perfect way to end a hard day. KFC.
It's finger-licking good.
Now to end the news, a recap of the highlights. The Private Sector Commission has rejected PNCR leader Aubrey Norton's claims that it is not independent. President Irfan Ali has announced a 2-week tax-free bonus for all categories of government healthcare workers. The Guyana Court of Appeal has ruled it has jurisdiction to hear and determine whether the High Court properly dismissed a petition by the opposition of Partnership for National Unity plus Alliance for Change. A teenager is dead and his parents and siblings are hospitalized as a result of poisoning. In the regional nurses in Barbados end the strike as the Barbados government and the Barbados Nurses Association have reached agreement to resolve long-standing issues for the healthcare workers. And internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden has said that 500 million COVID rapid tests will be made available at no cost amid new measures to tackle the surging Omicron variant. The news came to you with the compliments of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC.
This This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demorawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves. Here is an unbelievable offer from News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM. You can send season's greetings December 24, 25, 26, and 27, and Happy New Year's greetings December 31 and January 1, 6 times each day, plus streaming of your image on Facebook on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, plus a 5-minute live broadcast from your firm. All this for just $20,000, or 4 times each day for $15,000. Call 614-8205 or 692-9400 for details and say season's greetings through 103.1 FM.
Here's an update for our customers. Instead of getting started from December 24, you can start with us from December 20. No strings attached, nothing changes. Get started with us from December 20.
Giftland Mall, they giving away vouchers from December 20 to Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but that's what we on 103 we believe.
From December 13 to 24, listen to News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM.
Answer a simple question and you can win yourself a voucher. Compliments of Giftland Mall.
Season's greetings to supporters of Giftland
and 103.1 FM.